Hey, what's going on, guys? Garrett here. Yes, still in the process of moving, but I had to hop on here and talk to you all about Candyman, the fourth entry into the series, but actually more of a direct sequel to the 1992 film of the same name, serving as a reboot of sorts. This time around, we follow Anthony McCoy, an up-and-coming painter now residing in a gentrified Cabrini Green, which was a former housing project that has since been demolished in 2011. While Anthony is seeking inspiration for his newest series of paintings, he encounters the tale of the Candyman, a local figure who has taken many names and faces throughout the decade, but now Anthony must determine for himself what is fact or fiction. Now, as much as I love to see original content and new concepts explored in films, especially in horror, the idea of bringing Candyman back for a modern audience is one that really interested me. Despite the fact that horror has been a genre that pretty much is centered around social commentary, Candyman has really had a unique spot in horror, particularly in regards to black horror. And if you're interested in hearing all about that, as well as a ton of other great black horror movies, I highly recommend watching Horror Noir on Shudder. It's really fantastic. But considering the place that Candyman sort of holds in regards to the history of black horror, the idea of seeing not only director and co-writer Nia DaCosta, but also Jordan Peele, who also co-wrote and produced this film as well, to see a studio like Universal backing a black horror film with a black female director and a black producer, that is what got me excited about this movie above all else. Not to mention the fact that I can't really think of a better time for a movie like this to come out. And unfortunately, I do think that the result is a mixed bag for me. And that's because of a number of reasons, which I will get into, but I want to start off by talking about what I did actually really like about this movie. And one of those things is the leading performance from Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, who is just really excellent in this film. He gives this movie a real sense of tragedy. Similar to David Cronenberg's The Fly, you're really watching someone go through this horrible, unstoppable transformation that's really sad and upsetting, and he plays it with such soul, more so than your average, I'm seeing spooky stuff type character in a horror movie, you know the type. And someone else I wanted to shout out is Robert Aki Aubrey Love, who composed the score for this movie, which is honestly breathtaking. The opening credits of this film, which are also super cool by the way, showcase a track he composed for this film titled The Suite, and it is straight up phenomenal. And I also wanted to applaud Nia DaCosta because this film does really have this clear sense of vision to it, and I think she is able to establish maintain the tone of this movie too. And despite the fact that not all of the ideas come together fully for me, I am really interested to see what she does do next, particularly if she's directing a horror film. And I think that is kind of precisely how I feel about Candyman, is that it's a film that just does not really fully come together in a satisfying or cohesive way, at least for me. And I think there are a few key decisions made in this film, particularly regarding how it approaches some of these social issues that just kind of hinder this movie from being as impactful as I really think it could be. For starters, being a film that is ostensibly the follow-up to a movie that came out nearly 30 years ago, this film really does spend a lot of time recapping the events in that film. As a matter of fact, this movie has at least 3 sequences where it is relayed to the audience what happened in that movie. And I understand that not all audience members are necessarily familiar with the prior film, but when your movie is only 90 minutes long and a not insignificant portion of it is spending its runtime catching audience members up to speed, not 1, but 3 times, it starts to feel like you're waiting for this movie to actually begin, which I did feel was a pretty common issue with this movie, in that it really does feel like it's retreading ground that has been covered before, not exactly narratively, but more thematically. Because like the 92 film, this is a movie that examines race issues, mainly gentrification, and although discussing these topics are pretty universal and pretty timeless, unfortunately, I do think discussing these ideas now literally could not be more relevant. And that's why it really is a shame that I do not feel like this movie really brought much else to the conversation or had a truly unique perspective. The film's characters discuss gentrification, but other than that, the topic doesn't really fully impact the story in a way that was as effective as I thought it could be. The film talks about these ideas, but it doesn't really show or illustrate these ideas, which really is a shame because I was truly looking forward to this movie, but I gotta be honest, I was a little disappointed by Candyman. And it's not even because this is a bad movie, because it isn't. But I think considering those who are involved with this film, I was really hoping for a bit more. And I really don't know what audiences will think of this movie because I feel the scares are pretty effective in this movie. There are a lot of moments where DaCosta utilizes mirrors and reflections incredibly well that are super creepy and creative. And this movie is also pretty brutal too. So I don't really know what audiences will think of this, but for myself, I thought this film just kind of missed the mark on what could have been a great horror movie. Kind of just turned out to be a pretty good one instead. So did you guys see Candyman? What do you think about it? Where does it stack up for you in regards to the original 1992 film? I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions down below. And as always, guys, thank you so much for watching today. I hope you liked today's video. And if you did, you can click on the link down below where you can subscribe to my channel to see more movie reviews and movie related things. Again, guys, thank you so much for watching and see you next time.